Rain never sounded right in this house. It didn't patter softly like on normal roofs. It echoed, as if the beams themselves remembered things. Bad things. Things with teeth. And as Lena Harrow stepped back inside after her father's funeral, she realized the house wasn't echoing. It was listening. The air felt too still, the shadows under the door frames too deep, and the rain outside ran red across the window pane, bleeding down the glass like the sky was mourning with her. She hadn't been home in 14 years, not since the night she watched her father drag a 12-inch claw out of his ribcage and tell her, through gritted teeth, "You didn't see this." She obeyed, she always obeyed. But now he was gone. A hunting accident, the police said. Whatever he was hunting, the reports never named. Lena dropped her keys on the old wooden table. Dust puffed upward. The house groaned as if it recognized her. Wait, then she saw it. An envelope placed dead center on the dining table. Her name on the front, written in her father's unmistakable blocky handwriting. Lena, do not open until I'm dead. Her breath caught. Her father wasn't a dramatic man. He didn't joke. He didn't exaggerate. If he wrote something like that, he meant it. She picked it up slowly. The paper was unusually heavy, grease-stained, smelling faintly of iron and pine like the woods after a fresh kill. Her fingers trembled as she slid the letter out. The writing inside was shaky, frantic, asterisk, asterisk, if you're reading this. The curse has matured. They will come for you. Run if you can. Kill if you must. Your mother tried to warn me. I wouldn't listen. I thought the blood skipped you. I was wrong. Dad. Lena froze. Her scalp prickled. This wasn't a goodbye letter. It was a warning. She scanned the page again and noticed a small folded paper tucked inside. When she unfolded it, her stomach knotted. It wasn't paper. It was parchment. Old, cracked, edged with what looked disturbingly like bite marks. On the parchment, a drawing of a woman, her mother, mid-transformation, half wolf, half human, eyes blazing like molten gold. A sigil burned across the woman's collarbone, a crescent moon intersected by a vertical slash. Beneath the image, in her father's shaking handwriting, "Your mother was not hunted." She turned. Lena stumbled back, nearly knocking over a chair. Her mother, her soft-spoken, gentle, humming, while she baked mother. No, that couldn't be true. But then the memories surfaced, her mother refusing to go out on certain nights, her mother's eyes glowing faintly in candlelight, the way animals went silent when she walked past, and the screaming, that one night of screaming. Lena had convinced herself it was a dream. Now she wasn't so sure. Another sound broke the silence, a low, vibrating hum. Not from her phone, not from appliances, from the walls. The house shuddered. A picture frame fell to the floor, glass shattering. Then she saw it, a shape pressed against the frosted window beside the door. Not quite a human outline, not quite an animal's. Something in between. Lena's pulse hammered. Her father's instructions screamed through her mind. Run if you can, kill if you must. The blood has matured, but she didn't run. She stepped closer, the shape outside slowly raised, a hand. No, a claw, dragging a single line down the fogged glass. C-Ray, E-E-E-E-E-E. The sound cut through her chest. Then it whispered. A voice too soft to be human, too familiar to be a stranger. Lena, her knees nearly buckled. She knew that voice. She grew up with that voice. She heard that voice humming lullabies as she fell asleep. Her mother, her dead mother, The claw dragged downward again, carving frost into the outline of a crescent moon. Lena stumbled backward, gripping the letter so tightly it tore in half. Outside, the figure leaned closer, its silhouette impossible, its proportions wrong, its head brushing the top of the window frame. "Let me in." Her mother had been dead for 14 years. So why did the voice outside sound exactly like her? Why did the house shake like it recognized her presence? And why, as Lena's breath turned to fog in the suddenly frigid room, did she feel something moving under her skin? Not metaphorically, literally. Veins, glowing faintly gold up her wrist, pulsing, following the shape of the same sigil. She saw on the parchment her father lied to protect her. Her mother died to protect her. But the truth was no longer hiding. The bloodline wasn't dead. It was waking, and the thing outside the door wasn't here to kill her. It was here to claim her. Rain never sounded right in this house. It didn't patter softly like on normal roofs. It echoed as if the beams themselves remembered things. Bad things, things with teeth. And as Lena Harrow stepped back inside after her father's funeral, she realized the house wasn't echoing. It was listening. The air felt too still, the shadows under the door frames too deep, and the rain outside ran red across the window pane, bleeding down the glass like the sky was mourning with her. She hadn't been home in 14 years, not since the night she watched her father drag a 12-inch claw out of his ribcage and tell her, through gritted teeth, "You didn't see this." She obeyed. She always obeyed. But now he was gone. A hunting accident, the police said. Whatever he was hunting, the reports never named. Lena dropped her keys on the old wooden table. Dust puffed upward. The house groaned as if it recognized her. Wait. Then she saw it. An envelope placed dead center on the dining table. A name on the front, written in her father's unmistakable blocky handwriting. "Lena, do not open until I'm dead." Her breath caught. Her father wasn't a dramatic man. He didn't joke. He didn't exaggerate. If he wrote something like that, he meant it. She picked it up slowly. The paper was unusually heavy, grease-stained, smelling faintly of iron and pine like the woods after a fresh kill. Her fingers trembled as she slid the letter out. The writing inside was shaky, frantic. Asterisk, asterisk, if you're reading this. The curse has matured. They will come for you. Run if you can, kill if you must. Your mother tried to warn me. I wouldn't listen. I thought the blood skipped you. I was wrong, Dad. Lena froze. Her scalp prickled. This wasn't a goodbye letter. It was a warning. She scanned the page again and noticed a small folded paper tucked inside. When she unfolded it, her stomach knotted. It wasn't paper. It was parchment. Old, cracked, edged with what looked disturbingly like bite marks. On the parchment, a drawing of a woman, her mother, mid-transformation, half wolf, half human, eyes blazing like molten gold. A sigil burned across the woman's collarbone, a crescent moon intersected by a vertical slash beneath the image in her father's shaking handwriting. Your mother was not hunted. She turned. Lena stumbled back, nearly knocking over a chair. Her mother, her soft-spoken, gentle, humming, while she baked mother. No, that couldn't be true. But then the memories surfaced. Her mother refusing to go out on certain nights, her mother's eyes glowing faintly in candlelight, the way animals went silent when she walked past, and the screaming, that one night of screaming. Lena had convinced herself it was a dream now. She wasn't so sure. Another sound broke the silence, a low, vibrating hum. Not from her phone, not from appliances, from the walls. The house shuddered. A picture frame fell to the floor, glass shattering. Then she saw it. A shape pressed against the frosted window beside the door. Not quite a human outline, not quite an animal's, something in between. Lena's pulse hammered. Her father's instructions screamed through her mind. Run if you can, kill if you must. The blood has matured, but she didn't run. She stepped closer. The shape outside slowly raised. A hand. No, a claw dragging a single line down the fogged glass. .sc ray, e. The sound cut through her chest then, it whispered. A voice too soft to be human, too familiar to be a stranger. Lena, her knees nearly buckled, she knew that voice. She grew up with that voice. She heard that voice humming lullabies as she fell asleep. Her mother, her dead mother. The claw dragged downward again, carving frost into the outline of a crescent moon. Lena stumbled backward, gripping the letter so tightly it tore in half. Outside, the figure leaned closer, its silhouette impossible, its proportions wrong. Its head brushing the top of the window frame. Let me in. The mother had been dead for 14 years. So why did the voice outside sound exactly like her? Why did the house shake like it recognized her presence? And why, as Lena's breath turned to fog in the suddenly frigid room, did she feel something moving under her skin? Not metaphorically, literally, veins glowing faintly gold up her wrist, pulsing, following the shape of the same sigil. She saw on the parchment that her father lied to protect her. Her mother died to protect her. But the truth was no longer hiding. The bloodline wasn't dead. It was waking, and the thing outside the door wasn't here to kill her. It was here to claim her. The front door didn't just rattle this time, it buckled, with splintering as though something outside was testing. How little pressure it would take to bring the entire house down. Rowan froze mid-breath, a golden eye dilated sharply. There, early, she whispered. They weren't supposed to move until moonrise. Lena's pulse thrashed against her ribs. Who? The pack? Rowan didn't answer. She didn't need to. The answer arrived in the next deafening blow. Boom. The doorframe cracked. Dust rained from the ceiling. Somewhere deep in the walls, pipes groaned as though the entire house were bracing itself. Rowan grabbed Lena's wrist, again the one pulsing with molten gold light, and dragged her toward the center of the room. You need to breathe through it, she said urgently. Through what? Rowan's expression darkened. The break. Lena's blood turned to ice. Before she could speak, a pain lanced up her spine like a hot blade, sharp enough to steal the air from her lungs. She doubled over, fingers digging into the floorboards. Rowan caught her shoulders. It's studding. No, I'm not. The pain flared again, bone deep this time. Rowan's voice softened, almost tender. You don't choose a transformation, Lena. The blood chooses the moment. And tonight, she swept her gaze toward the window, where moonlight crawled across the glass. You were summoned. Lena's vision split around the edges, the world blurred colors sharpening into impossible clarity. She could see dust floating in the air, hear the house settling, smell pine sap through the walls. It was horrifying and intoxicating. Another boom against the front door snapped her out of it. Rowan whipped her head toward the stairs, nostrils flaring. They're here, she growled. And they smell your awakening. Lena swallowed hard. My awakening? To what? Rowan turned back toward her, the human half of her face saturated with grief. To their Alpha. The words hit Lena harder than any blow. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. Rowan stepped closer, her shadow folding over Lena like a shroud. Dad tried to hide you. He tried to break the lineage, but a Harrow can't run from the moon. A violent crash shook the entire downstairs. Wood shredded, metal wailed. They weren't knocking anymore. They were coming in. Rowan shifted partially, involuntarily, her jaw snapping to the side, cheeks stretching as fur rippled under the skin. She winced, but didn't fight it. "You need to stay behind me," she said. "If they see you in mid-break, they'll take you before you're ready." Lena's skin burned from the inside out, veins illuminated like threads of fire beneath her flesh. "I can't, Rowan. I can't control it. You're not supposed to," Rowan snapped. "Just survive it." The words were barely out when the front door finally gave way. Crash! The sound echoed up the stairs like thunder. Cold night air flooded the house, bringing with it a stench of fur, wet earth, and iron. A howl shattered the silence. Not a wolf's howl, not even a werewolf's. Something more. Ancient Dodd Rowan lunged toward the stairwell, half crouched, half beast. "Stay here." She didn't wait for an answer. She sprang down the steps, claws skidding across the wood. Lena staggered after her, half crawling, half falling, pain flaring through her ribs, as if something inside was pushing outward, demanding space. Halfway down the stairs, she froze. Shadows moved in the broken doorway below. Massive shapes, hunched bodies, fur bristling, eyes glowing amber, gold, and something deeper, something void-black. The pack. Rowan snarled at them, a sound that made the banister vibrate. She stood planted between Lena and the intruders, shaking with the effort to keep her humanity. A large male stepped forward. "Rowan Harrow," he growled. "Step aside." Rowan bared her teeth. "She's not ready." A moment of silence. "Then she doesn't need to be." The male's eyes drifted past Rowan, straight to Lena. Her blood is singing. Lena felt it then, not just the pain, not just the burning, but the pull. A gravitational force anchored behind her ribs, calling her, claiming her. Another voice emerged from the doorway. Female, deep, unmistakably authoritative. "Bring her forward." Lena saw the silhouette emerge, towering she-wolf with silver-tipped fur and eyes, like coins dipped in moonlight. The matriarch. Rowan's breath hitched. "No," she whispered. "Not her. Not yet." The matriarch stepped into the house, claws clicking softly against the ruined floor. "You hid her well," she said to Rowan. "But blood doesn't hide. It calls." Lena's nails split right there. Mid-sentence, dense keratin erupting through her fingertips. She cried out, clutching her hand. The matriarch inhaled deeply, shuddering with pleasure. "Ah," she murmured. "The first break. She is ours." Rowan roared, fully shifting, now bones cracking, fur exploding from her spine. She crouched low, ready to kill. But the matriarch only smiled. "You cannot fight destiny, Rowan." Rowan growled, voice now layered with a wolf's snarl. "Watch me." The matriarch raised one claw. "Take the air." 3 packed wolves surged forward. Rowan launched herself at them. And Lena, bleeding light, bones burning, vision warping, felt something ancient ignite inside her chest. Not fear, not pain. Recognition. The bloodline wasn't waking just to claim her. It was waking to unleash her. Rowan hit the first wolf so hard, the floorboards cracked beneath them. A blur of claws and silver fur. She tore into the intruder with a ferocity Lena had never seen feral, protective, unrestrained. But for every wolf Rowan knocked down, 2 more pushed into the ruined house, crawling over splintered wood like a tide of muscle and hunger. Lena clutched the railing, teeth clenched as the heat under her skin intensified. It wasn't just burning now, it was shifting. Her bones felt too hot, too tight, like something inside them was expanding, stretching. The pain roared through her ribs. She gasped, and the railing shattered beneath her hand. Splinters flew everywhere. Her fingers know. Her claws jerked back from the ruined wood, long and sharp enough to cut stone. They were only half-formed, jutting jaggedly from her fingertips, like weapons hammered before they cooled. Lena screamed. Rowan's head whipped toward her instantly. No, Nye, don't fight it. Lena fell to her knees, her spine arched violently. Something cracked along her shoulder blades. The world dissolved into sensation. Heat, light, pain, power, and underneath it all, a sound. A pulse. A steady rhythmic thrum rising from deep within. Her blood, come. Not a command, a summons. A birthright. The matriarch inhaled sharply. Her golden eyes widened as she watched Lena struggle to breathe through the fire consuming her bones. It's too soon, Owen snarled, pinning a wolf beneath her claws and ripping it away from the stairs. She's not ready. The matriarch tilted her head, studying Lena with unsettling hunger. She is more than ready, the Alpha said softly. She is waking. Lena's arm jerked violently as bone bulged beneath the skin, stretched, shifted. Her humerus snapped and reformed in seconds. She screamed again as fur burst along her jawline, creeping up her cheek, one eye flickering gold with a heat that felt like staring into the heart of the moon. Rowan slammed another wolf into the wall. Get away from her. The matriarch didn't move because she didn't need to. She knew the truth before Lena did. The transformation wasn't an attack. It wasn't the pack forcing it. It wasn't the matriarch's will. It was Lena's inheritance, consuming her. From the inside, another wolf lunged up the stairs. Lena turned her head instinctively and growled. It ripped out of her throat, layered feral, deeper than her voice had ever been. The wolf froze mid-leap, eyes widening. Even Rowan hesitated. Lena clutched the railing again, her partially transformed hand, bending the metal braces as if they were clay. I can't stop it, Lena gasped. Her voice warbled, stretched between human and beast. Rowan leapt up the stairs, blocking the other wolves with her body. She placed herself directly in the line between them and Lena. Double quotes, yes, you can. Her wolfish voice was low, trembling. You're Harrow blood. You control the beast. Never the other way around. But the matriarch laughed. A soft, chilling sound. She's not just Harrow blood, Rowan. She is Harrow born under the first sign. The moon marked her before breath. You can't cage that. Her eyes glowed like twin moons. You can only crown it. Another bone snapped in Lena's shoulder. Her arm lengthened, unnaturally, skin tearing, fur sprouting, claws curving. She let out a sound halfway, between scream and howl. The wolves in the doorway all bowed their heads involuntarily at the sound. Even Rowan flinched. Lena forced herself upright, towering halfway down the staircase, spine bowed like something pushing against her skin, begging to break through. Rowan's voice shook with panic. Nost up, Lena. You can't let the moon take full hold. But it was too late. A new pulse hit Lena like a tidal wave. THOOM. Her breath hitched, her vision sharpened. THOOM. The house vibrated. The wolves whimper. THOOM. The moon itself felt closer, brighter, watching her, guiding her. Her pupils narrowed to slits, her fangs lengthened, her spine cracked in 3 places, rising with each violent pulse. And then the final break. Lena arched, body trembling, gold fire racing up her throat, and she howled, a newborn howl, raw, unsteady, but powerful enough to shake dust from the rafters. The pack collapsed instantly, bowing, whimpering, tails tucked. Rowan stared up at her sister, trembling, not from fear, from recognition. "Lena," she whispered, "you're not becoming one of them. You're becoming what they've been waiting for." Lena's claws dug into the stair rail, splitting the wood to splinters. Her voice was layered, distorted, but hers. "What am I?" The matriarch stepped forward slowly, reverently. "Our future," she whispered. Rowan snarled. "She's not your weapon?" "No," the matriarch agreed. "Your sister is your alpha." Lena gasped, her spine cracked again, and something massive shifted beneath her skin. The final stage wasn't stopping. She wasn't just breaking, she was rising. Lena didn't feel the house under her feet anymore. Didn't feel the pain, didn't feel the fear. She felt pressure, a cosmic hand wrapped around her spine, pulling her upright like a puppet made of bone and moonlight. Her growing frame lurched another inch upward as vertebrae cracked and reshaped, ribs expanding, muscles thickening beneath skin that rippled with silvered fur. Her fingers claws curved like hooked crescents. Every breath poured steam. Every heartbeat shook the railing. The pack bowed even lower. Even the house seemed to groan as though unwilling to contain what Lena was becoming. Except Rowan. Rowan didn't bow. She pushed herself up on trembling wolf limbs, planting her body between Lena and the matriarch, fur bristling along her spine. "Stay away from her," Rowan growled. The matriarch offered a soft, pitying smile. "Do you really think she needs your protection, child?" Rowan snarled back. "I don't care what she becomes. She's my sister." The matriarch's gaze flicked upward toward Lena, whose eyes blazed molten gold. Blinded by instinct and mooncall, she won't stay your sister much longer. A violent shudder ripped through Lena's body. Her limbs jerked, fur spread up her throat, a mouth stretched painfully, cracking at the corners. A howl, half-formed, rattled in her chest. Rowan leapt up several stairs and grabbed Lena's forearm with her claws, forcing her down. "Lena, listen to me. You have to hold on. You have to stay with me." Lena blinked at her, pupils dilating, cat-like, predatory. Her lip curled involuntarily, revealing elongated canines. Rowan's grip tightened. "No, no, you're still in there. Fight it. Don't let them crown you." Lena's voice came out in shards, both human and something ancient. "I can't stop." Her body jerked again, rising despite Rowan's weight forcing her down. The matriarch stepped closer. "Of course she can't stop. She is firstborn, marked at conception. The Harrow line doesn't birth wolves." She lifted her chin, voice dipping into reverence. "It births leaders." Lena's claws tore into the banister, ripping entire chunks of wood free. Her spine curved upward, shoulders bulging with beast shape. Rowan's breath faltered. "No, no, that can't be true. Dad would have said something. He would have." The matriarch laughed softly. "Why do you think he hid her, Rowan? Why he raised you to hunt, while keeping her locked away from the woods, the moon, the lineage?" Rowan's ears flattened. The matriarch continued. "He wasn't trying to save the pack from her." She leaned forward. "He was trying to save her from the pack." Rowan froze. Lena let out a howl loud and ragged, her body convulsing as her legs elongated, knees reversing with a sickening crunch. The staircase groaned under her weight. The matriarch spread her arms wide. "Tonight we crown the new alpha of the Harrow bloodline." Rowan snapped. She lunged jaws wide, teeth bared straight at the matriarch's throat. But 3 wolves intercepted her mid-air, slamming her onto the shattered floorboards. She fought wildly, claws slicing fur and flesh, but they pinned her down, snarling in her face. "Rowan." Lena's voice cracked. "Human for just 1 second. Rowan twisted her head toward her. Lena, don't let them. Lena's back arched violently, cutting her off. Her ribs expanded again, pushing outward, as though the very shape of her body was trying to escape her skin. Her fur glowed faintly, the exact same pale gold flicker that once drenched her mother. The matriarch knelt at the base of the stairs. "Look at her," she whispered, the moon fire in her veins, the Harrow crest forming on her chest. "She was born for this. She is the Alpha Ascendant." Then the matriarch turned to Rowan, her voice dropping into something colder. "And you were a decoy." Rowan stilled. "What?" she snarled. The matriarch smiled. "Your father couldn't hide a future Alpha, so he made the pack believe you were the heir. He used you as a shield. Let them hunt you, let them watch you, let them chase you at every moon, believing you were the threat." Rowan's breath collapsed into a single broken noise. "He sacrificed me to protect her." The matriarch shrugged. "He did what fathers do. Chose the child with a destiny over the child with a pulse." Rowan stopped fighting, stopped breathing. A single tear slid down her wolf's cheek. And Lena, half wolf, half human, chest heaving with moonfire, saw it. Something in her snapped. Not bone, not muscle. Will Lena roared, struggling against the transformation. Her claws dug trenches into the stairs as she forced her body downward instead of up-forced herself toward Rowan, not toward the pack calling her name. She wasn't choosing instinct. She wasn't choosing blood. She wasn't choosing destiny. She was choosing Rowan. "Lena, don't," the matriarch barked. "You'll tear your own spine," but Lena didn't listen. A human sound burst from her throat, a scream of rage and love and defiance. She reached Rowan, half-beast arm wrapping around her sister's pinned body, pulling her close. "Rowan," she growled furred, distorted but clear. "You're my sister." Rowan choked a sob. The matriarch's expression twisted, then hardened. "Then you leave me no choice." She lifted her hand, wolves around her sanat, and behind Lena. In the doorway, more shapes appeared. Not wolves, not even sundered. These creatures were larger, taller, their eyes empty, void black like holes in the world. Rowan's breath hitched. "Lena, that's not the pack." "That's..." Lena turned slowly. Her heart stopped. The matriarch whispered, "Your coronation must be earned by surviving them." And the creatures stepped forward. The Voidborn. The Voidborn didn't enter the house. They oozed into it. Their silhouettes stretched unnaturally across the threshold. Limbs too long, joints bending the wrong way. Therefore what passed as fur dripped like ink, eyes blacker than shadow, blinked without light, without reflection, without soul. Even the wolves that flanked the matriarch pulled back. The Voidborn weren't packed. They were punishment. Lena felt their presence like frost in her bones, suffocating. Hollow, ancient, like every instinct she had, human or wolf, recoiled from them. Rowan shuddered under Lena's half-shifted arm. No, Lena, they're not supposed to be here. The Voidborn only appear when an Alpha hesitates," the matriarch finished coldly. Lena's claws curled into the floorboards, splintering them as the Voidborn moved closer. Every step they took drained heat from the room, drained color, drained will. Lena's glowing veins dimmed, her transformation paused. Like her body was choosing between fight and surrender. Rowan pushed against her, voice shaking. "Lena, don't look at them. They feed on fear. They'll rip your mind out and wear what's left." One Voidborn tilted, its head at Rowan, as if amused. The matriarch smiled faintly. "They are the test all Harrow heirs must face. If she survives them, she ascends. If she falls, she gestured elegantly. Another is chosen. Lena's voice exploded out of her in a ragged snarl. I'm not your chosen. She didn't finish. The Voidborn lunged. It moved impossibly fast one moment near the doorway. The next inches from Lena's throat. Owen screamed, breaking free of the wolves, pinning her. She slammed into the Voidborn's side, claws raking its dripping form. The creature didn't bleed, didn't flinch. It simply pivoted its inky head toward Rowan and shrieked. The sound wasn't loud. It was wrong, like a thought forced into her mind with claws. Rowan hit the wall so hard, the plaster cracked behind her. Rowan. Lena lurched forward, struggling to keep her half-formed body balanced. The Voidborn's head jerked back, toward her, drawn to her glowing blood, her shifting bones, her rising power. Another stepped closer, then another. The shadows beneath them rippled like liquid night. Lena's breath shook, not from fear, from something else, somewhere deep in her chest. Past the pain, past the breaking, past the terror. Something ancient stirred a warmth, a shape, a voice. Not human, not wolf, not anything she recognized. The Voidborn stopped mid-dash step. Rowan saw it too. Lena, your eyes. Lena blinked. The world sharpened into crystal clarity. Every movement of dust, every heart in the room beating out of sync. Every breath of the intruders scraping like broken glass through the air. She inhaled, and the house inhaled with her. The matriarch's smile faltered. You're too early. Lena didn't understand. Her bones understood. Her blood understood. A Voidborn leaned forward, its face inches from hers. Its breath was cold, empty. It whispered, Alpha. Her spine snapped straight. Claws dug deeper into the floor. Her jaw cracked wider, fangs lengthening. Something unlocked inside her. Something old, something inherited. Something the Harrow bloodline existed for. Her throat burned, her chest swelled, and she screamed. But it wasn't a scream. It was a command. A sound so powerful the air rippled. A layered raw blending human voice, wolf snarl, and moonfire resonance. The Harrow Alpha voice. The Voidborn recoiled violently, slammed backward into the walls, their shadowy forms stretching like torn fabric, their shrieks warping into static. The wolves collapsed instantly, whining ears flat. Even the matriarch's knees buckled. Rowan clung to the cracked wall, staring at Lena with horror and awe. Lena, you just commanded the void. Lena didn't know how she'd done it. The voice wasn't hers. It was something passed through her, like she was a conduit for a power generations old. The matriarch rose slowly, eyes blazing. I see now, she rasped. You're not the heir. You're the correction. The Harrow line has been waiting for your kind for centuries. Lena backed up the stairs as the Voidborn reformed. Shaking off the blow, she growled, claws digging into the railing. What does that mean? The matriarch smiled with reverence and dread. It means you are the Alpha the void cannot bend. Her voice darkened, and the only one it wants to devour. Rowan's fur rose along her neck. Lena, we have to run. Lena stared down at her hands, the claws, the glowing veins, the tremors of moon power shaking through her limbs. Run where? They'll follow. Rowan stepped beside her. No, they'll follow you. Another Voidborn lunged, and Lena answered, instinctively, a guttural snarl ripping from deep in her belly. The house shuddered, the windows cracked. The Voidborn froze mid-dash air. The matriarch's eyes widened. Oh, you're stronger than your mother ever was. Lena trembled. What happened to my mother? Rowan's voice broke. Lena, she didn't die because of Dad's lie. Lena's heart fell into her stomach. Rowan looked her dead in the eyes. She died taking your place. The Voidborn surged again, and Lena felt something inside her snap fully open. Not fear, not instinct, destiny. Lena froze. Not from fear, from something colder, sharper. The kind of cold that splits bone. My mother took my place, she whispered. Rowan flinched, ears flattening. Her wolf eyes softened not with pity, but with the grief of someone who'd been holding a truth too heavy to carry alone. Before Rowan could answer, the Voidborn surged again, lurching forward on limbs that jerked like broken marionettes, their shadow bodies stretching along the walls. The matriarch lifted a hand. No more delays, she snarled. If the girl is to ascend, she must survive the truth. The Voidborn howled, a hollow, cosmic sound that shook dust from the rafters. Lena's claws tightened around the stair rail, splintering the wood into fragments. Rowan, tell me what she means. Rowan stepped between Lena and the Voidborn, her body low, trembling, ready to die. She traded her blood for yours, Rowan said quietly. She volunteered to take the curse, because the pack demanded the Harrow-born child. Lena's breath hitched. Rowan continued, each word like a blade. The matriarch wanted the firstborn Harrow daughter. But Mum knew what you'd become, knew the danger, knew the void would rise to claim you. So she, Rowan's voice broke, she offered herself instead. Voidborn Lungdruin caught it midair, slamming it into the wall with a feral snarl. The creature melted into black vapor, reforming immediately behind her. Lena's scream cracked through the air. Why, my mother? The matriarch smiled, not cruelly, not gleefully, regretfully. Because she wasn't Harrow-born, the matriarch said. Lena blinked through the blur of shifting vision. What? The matriarch stepped closer, unfazed by the snarling Voidborn around them. Your father married outside the line. Your mother carried no alpha potential. Only you had it. Lena staggered backward. Rowan froze, then slowly turned her head toward the matriarch. No, Rowan snarled. No, you said you were a decoy, the matriarch interrupted. Nothing more. Rowan's breath faltered, but Lena didn't have time to process the betrayal, because pain shot up her spine again. A white-hot spear of moonlight. Her ribs expanded outward with a violent crack. Her jaw lengthened. Gold fire spread under her skin. Her mother's voice echoed inside her skull, the voice she'd heard at the door earlier, soft and broken. Run if you can. Kill if you must. Lena collapsed to her hands and knees. Her claws gouged trenches into the wood. Rowan leapt to her side. No, Lene, don't let it take you completely. You're not ready for a full shift. Lena's voice ripped out of her half-growl, half-sob. Mum did for me. Her bones convulsed, her spine arched, lifting her off the floor. Her skin split at the shoulder blades, blood evaporating into glowing mist. And then the truth hit her. This wasn't a shift. This wasn't a curse. This was the awakening of the Harrow Alpha. The room dimmed, moonlight flickering like a guttering candle that the Voidborn hissed as Lena's eyes snapped open and burned like two suns. Rowan slowly stepped back, terrified. Lena, your eyes are not wolf, the matriarch whispered in awe. Not human. Lena rose, her body still half wolf, half something greater. A glowing sigil formed across her chest, the same crescentan/symbol from the parchment. The Harrow crest, the Alpha crest. The matriarch knelt. The wolves bowed. Even the Voidborn dipped their heads, trembling in resonance with Lena's emerging power. Rowan stared, stunned. Lena, they're obeying you. Lena didn't speak, because something else did. Something older than her voice, older than the pack, older than the Harrow line. The Alpha voice, Stand. The word wasn't shouted, yet it detonated through the house. The Voidborn jerked upright. The wolves rose instantly. Rowan stumbled, ears pinned flat. Even she was forced halfway up before forcing herself back down. Lena stepped forward, and the stairs creaked, as if bowing under her weight. "Tell me," she growled at the matriarch. "What happened to my mother?" The matriarch lifted her gaze. She wasn't supposed to die. She was meant to carry the burden just long enough for the pact to confirm your dormant mark, then transfer the curse back to you when you came of age. Lena's stomach twisted. Okay the curse from her. Rowan snarled at the matriarch. "You murdered her." But the matriarch shook her head. "No, she died fighting the Voidborn. Fighting for you. Her body wasn't strong enough to withstand the shift. She dissolved under the moon." Lena's heart shattered. Rowan touched her shoulder gently. "She loved you, Lena. She always loved you." The matriarch's eyes softened with ancient regret. "And now her sacrifice is complete. Her Alpha Rizaz." Lena stared down at her glowing clawsphere erupting along her arms, the jaws shifting, her vision sharpening into a hybrid she barely recognized. She whispered, voice trembling, "I'm not your Alpha." The matriarch tensed. Rowan stared. The wolves froze. Even the Voidborn paused. Lena lifted her clawed hand, golden sparks dancing off the tips. "I'm not leading a pack that murdered my family, manipulated my sister, and hunted my mother." Her eyes narrowed. "I'm choosing my own path." The matriarch hissed, "You cannot reject the blood." Lena raised her head, moonlight blazing in her eyes. "Watch me," the Voidborn shrieked, a rising, hollow roar. The matriarch backed away, and Rowan, filled with awe and terror, whispered, "Lena, what are you doing?" Lena looked at her sister, the only person who mattered. "I'm ending this lineage." Then she turned toward the Voidborn, who began to swarm as they lunged. Lena inhaled deep and unleashed a roar unlike any before, a command of annihilation, a severing of the old line, a scream the moon itself heard. The house exploded with light. Light detonated from Lena's throat, a blast of gold, silver, and molten moonfire. It wasn't a roar. It wasn't a scream. It was judgment. The Voidborn creatures, a pure shadow and hunger, jerked backward, mid-lunge, limbs outstretched, dripping black mass shredding under the radiance. Rowan shielded her face with an arm, fur burning white under the blast. Even the wolves outside howled and collapsed under the weight of the voice. The matriarch dropped to her knees, spine arched like she'd been struck by lightning. "Stop!" she cried, voice cracking. "You'll erase the Harrow line. You'll break centuries of order." Lena stepped forward. Her claws left streaks of molten gold on the floorboards. Her eyes were two blinding suns. Half her face was wolf, half human, but neither looked afraid anymore. "Good," she growled. Another Voidborn lunged, snapping its liquid jaws around her arm. But instead of tearing flesh, it ignited. The creature shrieked soundlessly as it dissolved, peeling apart like smoke torn by the wind. Its shadow melted into the floor, leaving burn marks shaped like runes Lena had never been taught. Runes only a true Alpha could awaken. The matriarch stared in horror. "You don't understand. You're not ending a curse, child. You're opening the void." Lena's lips curled into a snarl. Then it was broken long before I came. Behind her, Rowan staggered to her feet, shaking, battered, a deep cut burning across her shoulder from the Voidborn's earlier strike. "Lena," she rasped. "This power, it's eating them, but it's draining you too. I can smell it." Lena didn't deny it. Her veins pulsed like molten river channels under her skin, pulsing faster with every kill. Her heartbeat thundered like war drums. She could barely tell where her human bones ended and her wolf ones began. But stopping wasn't an option. Not anymore. Another Voidborn lurched forward, limbs liquid, jaws spreading too wide for a natural creature. Lena raised one clawed hand, and war, and war, and war seems to pause, and the world seems to pause, and her wolf ones began, and her wolf ones began. But stopping wasn't an option. Not anymore. Another voice snapped her fingers. A shockwave burst outward in a perfect ring. The Voidborn burst apart like glass dipped in sunlight. Rowan stumbled back. Lena, what are you turning into? Lena blinked, and for a moment, her irises were gone entirely. Just solid gold. The only thing that can stop this, the matriarch snarled, you arrogant child. You have no idea what the Harrow line truly is. She rose slowly, blood trickling from her nose, eyes shaking. Your mother didn't just take your place. She sealed something inside you, something older than the pack, something even the void fears. Lena's breath hitched, the floor trembled under her feet. What? But she didn't get an answer, because the remaining wolf sight of them suddenly collapsed, whining in terror as a tall shadow loomed from the darkest corner of the room. Lena's skin prickled, Owen stiffened, tail down, hackles raised. A ninth figure, not Voidborn, not wolf, stepped forward, lean, silent, eyes like eclipses. It didn't move like a creature. It moved like a thought. The matriarch gasped. No, this cannot be. Lena squared her shoulders. Who are you? The shadow tilted its head, eyes locking onto Lena with unnerving familiarity. And then, in a voice that sounded like her mother's voice, layered with thunder, I am what she died to hide. Lena's knees weakened. Rowan stumbled beside her. Oh God, Lena. She sealed part of herself in you. Yenta smiled a slow, terrible curl of lips. No, she sealed me. The first Alpha, the Harrow before names, the moon's true instrument. Lena's blood went cold. The matriarch fell into a full bow, forehead pressed to the floor. It lives, after all these years. The origin Alpha lives within the Harrow child. The shadow stepped toward Lena. You were meant to awaken and lead the void to dominion. It whispered, circling her like smoke around a flame. But your mother interfered. She bound me, hid me, caged me. Lena swallowed, claws trembling. I'm not letting you take me. The origin Alpha laughed softly, echoing through the walls. Child, you cannot stop what you already are. It touched her chest, right over the glowing crest. Lena's body arched backward as pain ripped through her like a lightning strike. Owen lunged to grab her, but a wave of energy blasted her across the room. Lena's vision blurred. Her bones vibrated. Her skin glowed white-hot. The shadow leaned close. Let the bloodline ascend. Lena screamed, a raw, primal sound, and everything went black. Dash, silence, dot, total, suffocating silence. Then Lena gasped back into her body. She was lying on the floor. The house was destroyed, shredded, moonlight pouring in through collapsed beams. Rowan crawled to her, coughing. Lena, talk to me. Did it take you? Lena sat up slowly, shaking. Her eyes opened, pure white, then fading back to gold. No, she whispered. Rowan exhaled in relief. But Lena wasn't done. She looked down at her hands. Her claws were larger, her arms marked with runes she hadn't had seconds before. Her heartbeat was not alone. The Origin Alpha's voice whispered from somewhere deep inside her. We are not finished. Lena clenched her jaw. I am not your vessel. The voice chuckled. Then become my prison. Lena's head snapped up as she understood her mother had done the same, had become the seal, had paid with her life. But Lena wasn't dying for this dot. She was rewriting the bloodline. Rowan knelt beside her, pressing her forehead to Lena's. Tell me what you need. Lena looked toward the shattered doorway, toward the forest, toward the moon. I need to end the Harrow line, she whispered, without letting what's inside me out. Rowan took her hand. Then we do it together. The matriarch crawled toward them, shaking. You can't run from the bloodline. The void will follow you. The origin will consume you. Lena stood dot. Towered golden fire poured off her in waves. I'm not running. Rowan grinned weakly. She's hunting. Lena stepped into the moonlight, runes igniting. The Harrow line ends with me, she growled, but so does the void. Rowan shifted into her wolf form, limping but fierce. Then let's kill a prophecy. They walked into the forest together, two sisters, one curse, one impossible destiny, and behind them, the house finally collapsed, ashes lifting like spirits relieved of their duty. The moon brightened overhead, watching, and somewhere inside Lena, the Origin Alpha whispered, we will see.